Doobity-doobity-doo. Doobity-doobity-doo. Ba-doom. Ba-doom. Boom. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, bam. Doobie-doop. Shooby-doop. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Ba-dum, boom, boom. Ba-da-dum, boom, boom. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Biddy biddy doo biddy bam bam, biddy biddy boo biddy boom boom, biddy biddy boo biddy bam, biddy biddy boo biddy boo biddy boo biddy boom boom boom, biddy doom boom boom, biddy doom boom boom, da doom boom boom, boom boom boom, boom 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 boom, bam 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 bam, biddy biddy doo biddy ding biding. Hello, I'm Yesenia Guadalupe, and this is Decolonizing is episode 9. So, this week is Christmas week. The festivities are upon us. It is a very strange year for the holidays. So, I thought, what better to talk about during this week than prison? Yay!
Yay!
So, why are we talking about this during Christmas? Well, because for me, Christmas is a time to not think about myself and rather think about others more than myself. So, I think that this is a perfect topic for this week in particular when everybody is all consumed with a bunch of bullshit. Let's bring it back down to earth and talk about prison. So let's take it way back, right? Y'all know I love taking it way back. The colonizers came. One of the things that Europeans brought with them was this idea of land ownership. This was a concept that, like we've talked about before, didn't really exist in indigenous frameworks and cultures. So the other ideology that colonization brought to this land was the idea of the exceptional humanity of the white settler and the always questionable humanity of the other, which in this case is the native or the slave. Frantz Fanon called this the psychosis of colonialism, where the white settler is always human. Their humanity is never in question, but everyone else's humanity is always in question. So what does that mean? That means that the settler can come into a space, can claim a territory, claim land as their own, expect immunity, right, from harm, or expect to be respected, while at the same time killing, murdering others. And so this psychosis, right, is what this government was built on. And there's a direct line between this and the concept of slavery. The thing about owning land is that land is finite. There's only so much land that exists on the earth. So one way that colonialism really extended that reach of property is to the human body. This idea that bodies are property and bodies are a commodity exists now in the prison system. So the prison system in the United States is not for justice, is not something that makes society better. It is a means to an end. So the prison industrial complex is the connection, right, between the government and corporations and how they work together to make profit. So the prison system is directly a money-making scheme. It is a money-making scheme, period. The more bodies that are in the prison system, the more money is generated because there are companies that have deals with the government that are even owned by people in government, right? That directly get money, federal funds, to house bodies. And these bodies are human beings. These bodies are people, overwhelmingly black and brown people, right? Because as we've learned, the enslavable and the murderable bodies are bodies of color, people of color, right? Let me take a breath because I'm gonna get mad. So, companies create systems of surveillance, of policing, of imprisonment to create a labor force to solve problems. So, the problems of society, as seen by our government, are fixable, right, through imprisonment. That is the model. That is the model that we live under. That is the way that things work. And that is bullshit, right? Because if we want a society that is for the people and that is of the people and that wants us as human beings, as a group, as a collective to thrive and be better and work together, imprisonment and policing does not do that. Policing and imprisonment does the opposite of that. It creates more problems, right? So we're being told that the problems that we have can be fixed by the thing that is causing the problem. So y'all see how ass backwards that shit is, that it doesn't make any sense. That's why it's called the psychosis of colonialism. One way that the system attacks specifically black and brown people is by criminalizing poverty. So if there's something that I do wrong, right? Wrong, and I can pay money to get out of it, that rule doesn't exist for anybody except poor people. That rule does not exist for anybody except poor people. Because if a rich person can do something bad, which they do all the fucking time, right, and get away with it by paying money or paying a fee or paying bail, then that rule only exists to criminalize poor people. How is poverty an issue, right, in this country or in this world? It's lack of education. It's lack of resources. If folks have the things that they need to live, then all of these problems will be minimized and we can target certain issues, right? If we have the funding and the means to take care of everybody's basic human rights. But the system doesn't work that way. It wants to pit us against each other. It wants us to think that poor folks are poor because they choose to be poor or because they're not trying hard enough. And it wants us to ignore the structural imbalances that exist to keep certain people down whose labor are being exploited by the prison system, by corporations. Who does this help? Not us. It helps a very small percentage of people who want this shit to stay this way because they are making billions of dollars off of this exploitative, dehumanizing, violent system. That's who wants that shit to stay, right? So the reason that I wanted to talk about this in particular is because we all kind of get caught up in the appearances of things, especially around the holidays. It's like, oh, well, it's been such a hard year. Let's buy each other gifts and let's try to sweep this shit under the rug. I'm sorry, man. We cannot sweep shit under the rug, especially during this time, right? Because the things that distract us and the times that we're most distracted are when these systems and these laws and these lawmakers do the worst shit to us. The worst shit to us because they know that we need a fucking break. They know that we're tired. They know that we're not going to be paying attention. So if y'all look historically, anytime there's a long vacation, anytime there's a holiday coming, that's when these fucking piranhas come and tear shit up. And they pass laws and shit that affect us for years to come, you know? So I don't want y'all to forget that this is happening. We can't forget that this shit is happening because it's happening all the time. And I feel like when we center the most marginalized people in our community, then we can really do work that is useful for all of us, right? Because if the person who is being fucked over by the system the worst is at the center of the conversation and is our priority, the rest of us will be fine. Let me take a breath. During these times and always, right, black and brown communities are the most heavily policed, not because we are the most violent or because we are the worst people in society, but because we are the bodies and the laborers, right? They want us to be property, but we're not property. We're human beings, right? This shit starts early. This shit starts in education, in the education system. The school to prison pipeline literally It's a solution for underfunding schools. So the solution of this country for underfunded schools is policing. Not books, not teachers, not counselors, right? It's police. So what is that teaching our kids? Or what kind of model for the world are kids being shown when the solution in the schools that are supposed to be shaping their minds and shaping the ways that they think about the world are police? That is not a solution. When people say defund police, people get very scared, right? And what that means is, yes, abolish police. Policing is violent for everybody. Policing doesn't help us. Policing doesn't help us. But beyond that, it means fund, right? And use the resources that we do have as a collective and as a community to build better foundational programs and better foundational structures for all of us. So what's that? Defunding police means funding healthcare, means funding schools, means funding social programs. All of the things that are the ailments of our society, or where the ailments of our society come directly from these social programs not being a priority to the government. They're not. And what does that reflect? That reflects us. That reflects our values, because that's our money, right? So this holiday season, I want y'all to remember that everything that we do, we're either supporting this system, right? Or we're dismantling it. It really is as simple as all of the actions that we take, the things that we value, the things that we pay attention to are the things that are amplified and get bigger. So we all have a responsibility, right? To think of and to do more for ourselves, yes, but especially for each other, and especially for the people who do not have the means, and especially for the people who are being the most exploited and the most hurt by this system that we're living in. So with that said, thank you for listening to me one more time. I promise there's only going to be one other time after this. If you're sick of me, well, thank you for watching anyway. If you're not, I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for growing and for learning and for commenting and for chatting with me. I will always leave resources in all of these videos, because this is just a layman's perspective of this world. And there are people who are scholars in this, who are better versed than I will ever be. So please check out those resources. They are in every single video. If you enjoyed this, please consider being a patron to us at patreon.com/myxxfly. Happy holidays. I love you. Take care of each other. And I'll see you next time. Last episode. Bye, everyone.